A career in crisis, dreaded family expectations, bitterness turned tender. Those are just a few of the themes that pack the pages of Picture Perfect Autumn by Shelley Noble. That was November's selection for Katie's book club. And in a nutshell, okay, this book, so awesome. A flourishing young photographer leaves her life in Manhattan in search of more. She knows her photos are missing something, and she believes the answer lies with a bitter old man who lives in a Gothic Rhode Island beach house. Turns out, though, he does not want to think about photography because there's some deep family issues there. Oh, and then his estranged grandson shows up, too. So there's a lot going on in this book, but I would rather hear more from the author, Shelley Noble, who we have on Zoom today. How you doing, Shelley?
How are you? I'm glad to be here today.
I gotta say, this was such a fun book to read.
Good. It's always breakneck speed with my books, so to get everybody in. Glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, so I kind of mentioned there's so much going on in this book. Can you kind of just tell me what was the inspiration for how this all came together?
Well, I write what they call beach reads, which in my case means they take place at a beach normally. So I said to my publisher, why don't we, people live at the beach all the time. So how about a non-summer beach? And so that was the start. And the other thing is that I've always wanted to take real pictures, right? So I finally bought myself a big, fancy, for me, camera. That was the kernel of my protagonist, a young girl, self-taught photographer. Where is the most frightening place to be? You taught yourself. You know that something's not quite right with your photos, but everybody in the art world loves you. You're like suddenly on top of the world, and you don't know how you got there. And she didn't know how she's going to stay there until she finds that inner thing that she sees that are missing, but nobody else seems to. Scary place.
Yeah, and I think you kind of just mentioned it. A concept that I really pulled out of this book was kind of finding contentment through your work, but maybe it's on a smaller scale than you think. You know, Danny kind of realizes that maybe it's not the big Manhattan-style photos that she loves, and Peter, the grandson, finds that it's not maybe the big family money law he wants to practice, it's more smaller stuff. So kind of what was that exploration like for you?
We're so outwardly oriented now, which sounds crazy because we all work from home. And I think it drives me anyway outward rather than inward. That inward thing is not solitude, but the kernel of an idea, the kernel of the meaning of what you want to do. It sounds kind of woo-woo, but it isn't it. But the same thing is in photos. When I started taking pictures, I found some great shots. I mean, they look bright on the photo itself, but I missed their essential something like essential flowerness or central buildingness. If you see what I mean, it's kind of it's internal.
And you bring up kind of another idea of the idea of perfection. Obviously, the book is called Picture Perfect Autumn. And I always like to pick out a quote that really stuck with me. So yours comes from page 82. And it's when Lawrence, her mentor, is talking to Danny. And he says, I don't want perfection, and you shouldn't either. I want what you see. Perfection is completed, boring.
Right.
So stop striving for perfection. Beauty, though, beauty is the lack of perfection, the thing that draws the eye. The balance between flaws and flawless is what you want to see. And I loved that because I do think we always strive for perfection. We're like, oh, it has to be perfect. And to kind of flip that script and think about beauty isn't perfection. I loved that.
That Lawrence is a smart old guy. Yeah, good for you, Lawrence.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're talking about Lawrence here. I wanted to say my favorite character was actually one of the nuns. I loved Sister Mary Catherine.
Yes.
Did you have a favorite character? Or is it hard to pick a favorite character in a book you write?
It's hard to, because they're all fighting in your head all the time to be the, the favorite child.
Right.
But Sister Mary Catherine, I wanted to show that she was essentially like a person And even though she has incredible faith, it's like, you know, she needs to use the tools she has to succeed.
Absolutely. Well, we're so thankful that you took the time to speak with us today. So thank you so much, author Shelley Noble. And you can get Picture Perfect Autumn, of course, at Bethany Beach Books. Thank you so much.
Oh, it was great being here. I always love talking about books.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a good one. So if you want to get your copy of Picture Perfect Autumn by Shelley Noble, head to Bethany Beach Books today. And while you're there, might as well pick up our December read. It is Through the Snow Globe by Annie Raines. Here's a little bit of the plot. A woman is dreading Christmas after her fiance gets critically injured. But then, after a neighbor unexpectedly visits and she finds a snow globe in the closet, everything changes. So grab your copy today. Delmarva Life will be right back.